All right, what I want to show off is something that I put together called Run Game Helpers. What this is that on Run with the Run SDK, there's a lot of different ways to do things. And I've made a bunch of games for Run. One of them is called Terminal Defense, a zombie-themed tower defense game with ASCII art. And something that I keep coming up against is that we're finding with lots of people, there's different ways to do things. So you can use the save system from Run, for example, but you can do it in one of several ways. And I think there's a lot of ways that people can kind of get off track, and if they're not used to this stuff or they haven't made a bunch of games before, it can be a little bit tricky. So I took everything from Terminal Defense and extracted a whole bunch of systems, made them more generic, and then wrapped them up in a way that we could just reference them. This will be done more nicely later. I just wanted to show off how this works with very few prompts, that we can create a game that's using some of this stuff. So I threw together some art because nobody needs to see me making the art while we do this. So this game is going to be a simple little idle game called Piggy Pastures. Got some cute little pig art here. We have a splash screen, which will be needed. This is the thumbnail, which Run wants to have before you can submit your game and publish it. A couple of currency icons to have those, and then a gameplay image. We're just going to use this as a background and put our pigs in the pens and make a simple little idle game that we can expand upon later. But that's kind of not really the point of this. So here's some cute pigs. So I just generated a bunch of pigs, all with ChatGPT, just to kind of show off what we can do with this stuff too. And so we're going to get started. So what I have is a separate, currently a separate repository just called Run Game Helpers that you can see on the screen here. And we are going to tell our game, which this is a brand new, we're sitting in a new directory here, haven't done anything in here. The only thing in here is the art so far. You can see over here, that's the only thing in here. And we are just going to start up Claude. Yes, that's fine. Okay, so now we are started up in Claude. We are using Fable right now, but you could use any other model really. The whole point of doing this was that you shouldn't need a really advanced model to do this, and it should be able to just pick up on a lot of the things that it kind of might be more subtle, or you might do in a way that's maybe not quite right, or might cause you some grief down the line. And these are ways that they're proven and they work. So the systems that I've created so far, there's 10 of them. There's a save system, which has versioning and will sync to cloud. There's an in-app purchase shop, which can handle things with Run Bits purchases, which is the Run premium currency on the platform currency, and has some bundles and packs, subscriptions, offers. A stats system, which is like lifetime counters plus a stats screen to show them. Some daily rewards. So just claiming your daily rewards and having it tick over each calendar day. Daily quests. So these would be things that would use the stats system, and you might have like, maybe you want to spawn 10 pigs or something, right? And then give somebody a reward that day. A tutorial system, and this is one that can highlight an element on the screen and point to it and pause the gameplay or whatever you want to do. Ads, we have rewarded ads, and I also have the concept of an ad rewards ladder. So these are rewards that you get based on watching more ads. So for example, you might get something immediately for watching an ad, but in a lot of my games, what I like to do is also give permanent rewards with ads. And so these might be things like you watch 10 ads in total and you get some kind of stat boost or a unique thing. This is something that keeps people feeling like, one, they get that immediate reward plus a longer term thing. And I think that's really cool. I've got notifications. So this is the local notifications. There were quite a few quirks to getting that working properly. And so I tried to wrap all those up in a way that you just shouldn't have to worry about that. Analytics, so different events and funnel tracking, and then finally localization into multiple languages, and how to handle that in a decent way. Again, these are all one way to do all these things, but I think kind of simplifying it so that you don't have to figure out the one of 50 ways to do it yourself can be really helpful, and just kind of shortcut things. So what we're going to do is first tell this. Again, you won't have to do this later. This is just for demonstrating this as a first pass at this. I have a repo that contains a bunch of Run Game Helpers. I want you to use everything from this repo whenever it makes sense. I may specifically call them out and tell you to use them. And we're just going to link to that. We're going to let it have a look for a second. So it's going to take a look around there and make sure that it can figure things out. There is, as you can see, yeah, we're going to just set this on auto mode to speed things up here so that we don't have to keep getting prompted and answer requests. So all these things have been set up with like agents, Claude, notes, and a README that are all AI friendly, that it understands and is going to just know how to do things here. Find this animated Google logo today, wildly distracting. So let's just go to a web page instead. So it's going to look this over and it's going to figure out what to do with this and see how we should use it. And I think the first thing I'm probably going to ask for is just to tell it what kind of game we're making and that it's for Run, and we're going to see. Okay, so it says it saves some things to memory. It sees all the various systems, which is great. It sees that there's some shared stuff I didn't mention before, so like server time, anti-clock cheating, daily resets. These are important for a lot of games, but like specifically idle games. This pig game is going to be a pseudo idle game, so that seems useful there. And then the initial thing, which is just a starter, and so this is using Pixie.js for rendering. I really like Pixie, it works really well. And then it's going to use React and Tailwind for all of the UI. So it's going to layer that on top of everything. You could theme that with like 9 slices and use images if you wanted, or you can just let it do the React style UI that you probably see in a lot of places, rounded rectangles, often the like default purpley colors that it will use. You can prompt away from that if you want, but we'll see what we get out of this. So it's telling us, yeah, that's going to look through this README and do this. So what would we like to do? Let's see. This will be an idle game where there are multiple pigs that can be picked up and placed in various pens. There will be synergy. And today in a meeting, somebody said, they said, was it swinergy? Yeah. So we should probably call it that because that's fun. For certain pigs that are placed in the same pen together. Start with the starter template. So splash screen, etc. And let's go from there. So we're going to tell it to just kind of start out from the beginning. And this should get us a lot of the template stuff. We do have templates for Run. I found that they were good, but I put a lot more in there, including a splash screen, doing warming of assets. So if you haven't heard that term before, you don't necessarily want assets like images to be loaded at runtime while the game is running during gameplay, because you're going to see things pop in. Instead, you can load all of those in a loading screen. Pretty common thing for games. So you can do that here. And there's actually 2 places that needs to happen. One would be for Pixie, which is just the raw images it works with quite well. And then there is the one for the DOM or all the React stuff. And so those you'll often see pop in if you don't do it this way, where you get a pop-up. And if it was a 9-slice images, you wouldn't see them at first. And then they would suddenly pop into existence. All right, so see, it already is looking through my temp images folder and finding that I have pigs and a background image and a splash screen and a thumbnail. And I probably don't even have to say what to do with most of those. There's an interesting thing. I'm just kind of going through all the stuff like on how I make games with Run and for Run with AI. So all of this isn't necessarily just about this template either, but like these pigs, one thing you can do is you can just say, hey, here's all my pig images. Like, can you come up with some fun names for these? And usually you'll get a pretty decent passable version of things, and then you can kind of tweak them yourself, but it can be a good starting point. It's also great at renaming these too. Like, I don't necessarily want these named icon 1 to 41 with a bunch of gaps in them. Like, I maybe want them named the pig is or something else, and it can generally help with that too. So just take a lot of the busy work out of there. All right, so let's see. It's talking about the art. Let's check in SDK notes. Let's see what else happens. This first little bit can take a little while because it's kind of looking through and scaffolding the whole beginning of things. But what I'm hoping to show here is that you don't need a lot of prompts with this, and you'll get something that is quite usable and kind of gotten rid of a lot of the oops, like maybe I made a mistake or did it the wrong way. I'm trying to get rid of some of that so there isn't a wrong way to do this. So some of this, what you can see here, it's setting up the initial things. It's giving it a game name here rather than just the starter. This is a lot of stuff that came in from the starter pack that I've done here. So calling it Piggy Pastures. What else? It's adding some different colors and things here for the CSS. What else do we have going on? starting up all the application stuff. Most of this you don't need to worry about. Yeah, here's all the pig icon IDs. So it's actually just left them like that. I could have told it like rename these as you go and copy them somewhere else. It may just do that too, because it will probably create a public folder. Yeah, see, it created a public folder, images, pigs. So it left them as icon, but it did copy them into here because this is what it's going to use when the game is actually running. One thing while this is going to, it's great to do something called quantizing with your assets. So what this will do is reduce the number of colors in PNG assets. You can't even tell for most of them. Like this one, for example, I have reduced this down to 256 colors. I think this image was something like 700 or 800 kilobytes before. Now it's 122. So you can compare them side by side. I can't tell the difference. You can also do this by using palettes. If that's a thing that you're familiar with. What else do we have here? The loading screen and menu. At the end of this first prompt, we should probably have it have an app that will start up for us. And it should be running in the browser. Let's see, the demo scene, pigs trotting on the pasture instead of in a bouncing square, because there's a bouncing square that's in the template here that just shows you that it's working with Pixie. Let's see what else is going on here. Setting up some of this for the pigs to move around, it looks like, making a HUD, making a README to replace the starter, and then installing and verifying. So we're going to find out, but this first prompt should probably give us something usable that at least we can see the game running, and hopefully with the splash screen and everything. Keeping in mind that I did not copy anything anywhere other than having my temp images set up in a temp images folder to start with and going from here. So it's telling us we need a real game ID, so we'd have to do something like run.deploy before we really want to release this, but that's fine. We're not worried about that at this point. Let's see, the thumbnail is already real game art because I had given it one, so that's cool. It's just building all the node module stuff. This is just all the pieces that are needed to make this work. You don't really have to worry about that either. It's all just automatic as part of this. So hopefully this will actually run a build and ideally open up in the Chrome window I have open there. And if not, we will open it there and see what happens. It will have to assign this a port number at localhost. Again, not sure how much anybody that's watching this will have done with this stuff, but just kind of going through the whole thing to show you what's going on with this. So we are effectively waiting for it to start up and have the game running so that we can then continue on with actually working on the game and add some of these systems that I was talking about. I think the first system we can try adding is a save system, and an easy way to add that at first is to implement a first currency, something like coins, and then award those just for clicking or something on the screen and then refreshing the page and make sure that it saves. And if it does, your save system is already working. Quick way to check that. Yeah, let's see. I believe it's starting it up. Looks like it shows port 5183. So we are going to just see if we can run this. It may or may not be ready. Oh, look at that. We've got Piggy Pastures. It used my splash screen without a loading screen and has a play button. I guess it's using this for a title screen too, and that's okay. And then we can hit play, and we've got some little pigs that are moving around. This runs smoother for me. It may run not as smooth because I'm recording. But we've got little pigs that are moving around. Obviously, we want them to be bounded by the pens, so we can take care of that. I would like them to also not be backwards. It looks like they are fully moving the opposite direction of, they're facing the opposite way that they're moving, which is great. And apparently we're collecting oinks up at the top here, which looks like every time they bounce off something, we're getting some oinks, which is pretty cool. Good currency, but we will change that to coins. And then we have a menu. I don't know what this is doing, but oh, that just takes us back to the main menu. So let's see. It may be verifying a bunch of stuff. Sometimes it will like to run things in its own window. This was me just kind of shortcutting and starting it up myself. So it might be working on that, and we will find out. So let us see. For some reason it's deciding to try and use Microsoft Edge to run its own testing and stuff. We will tell it not to do that, and we will tell it to use the Chrome window that is open here. Yeah, it's using headless Edge. I do not know why it chose to do that. Generally, I use Chrome. This is some of the fun that can happen with some of these things. So that's interesting. So we will see. And in the meantime, we can, let's see why. let's make ourselves a little more space there. We can start typing up the next thing just for what we want. Let's say, so we can try adding in, like I said, a save system, and we'll get some coins going. So let's change the currency to coins and use the coin icon I provided. The player will get 1 coin each time they click on any pig. Let's also add the save system from the run game helpers. Again, you shouldn't normally have to say this. This is me being explicit here. We would roll this into the documentation, so it's just transparently happening behind the scenes when you ask for anything. So let's do that. Let's also add the save system from the run game helpers to persist the player's coins. Let's also add the stats system with stats like coins earned, pigs clicked, which for now are the same thing, but that's fine, and some others that you can think of. And the stats pop up to show the current value of all stats. So we will see what happens there. It's just updating some memories. So one of the things that happens with this, it'll update memories as it goes so that it's got tracking for this stuff, so that if you want to run compact or anything else that you're dealing with. Yeah, so let's see. We're not going to read through all this. I'm just going to skim. So scaffolding, booting, verified end-to-end, that's cool. Copied the starter shell, so that's already up and running. You've got a whole Pixie game running with everything there. Verified it in Headless Edge, which is great. You can leave it doing that, where it will often check everything for you, and it can use things like Playwright to go out and like actually take screenshots or control the browser and stuff. A lot of times I don't do that, at least at first, because it can be a lot slower. It's got to read all those images and everything, can use a lot of tokens. So I will just test things myself. It'll be like, hey, I added what you asked. Do you want to check it? And I do, and then we go from there. I often find that is faster in the long term, especially when I know what I'm looking for. And then look at what it said. It said, hey, natural next steps, save system, and the core gameplay. So pig roster data, and I like that. So let's say also add the core gameplay as you suggested, but let's start with just the pig roster data. When, let's see, pig roster data and pen placements, and define the areas inside the fences to be each pen, so that pigs cannot leave the fenced areas pens. We're also going to make it so that we can pick up a pig and drag it, and we want it to do like a little tween back and forth, just so that it looks like it's as you move around, right? So let the player click a pig and drag it to move it to another pen where they can drop it. While being dragged, the pig should tween move back and forth like it's being held up by something, so that it swings. So we're hoping that we can get something like that, so we're going to find out. So this should get us a save system, so we'll find out if that's working, the stat system, and then our core bit of the gameplay, just to see if that's there. And you'll note we don't have to ask for anything. We don't have to ask for a versioned save system. And what I mean by version save system is usually what you want to do with saves is, if you're wanting to be modifying that at some point, like say we have pigs right now, but say we added goats later. And you wanted to add the goats to the game and they have a whole new system with it, you're going to want to add that to the save file. But a lot of times it's a smart play to have a version in the save file so that you could go from version 1 to version 2, tag the same file as version 2 now, which has your goats support added. And now you don't have to do that update again. And it means you don't have to be as defensive with your save file where you're like, do you have the goat data? Yes or no? It's like, no, we know you're at version 2. You already have the goat data. That's fine. It might not sound like it matters that much, but it can, especially since those save file updates will be applied in order. So imagine, because I have this in some live games that are out there, imagine you have save file version 100 and somebody comes back in and they add save file version 4. It will actually just apply very quickly, like 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, all the way up to 100, up to current, keeping all their save data intact. And you know that as long as it works between each of those two, it'll work the whole way through. This has been something I've used for years, about 10 years, long before this even, and it's worked very well. So that's cool. The stat system is very basic. It's just tracking some stats, but it does have support in there, I believe, for adding some other things, like say in this game you wanted multipliers. So say you wanted a stat multiplier for like number of coins earned. You could have those from various sources and they could be multiplicative, for example. So it has support for that too. So you're like, I want multiple stats. I want one that is based on the number of hats every pig is wearing. I want that to add like 0.1 to a multiplier. And I want a separate multiplier for like which farm I'm on. I want another multiplier for some other bonus that I've got, or the fact that I'm holding this relic or this artifact or whatever it is. And it will multiply all of those between them all. And you can easily show that on a tooltip or somewhere else so that people can get the breakdown. I find that that works very well too. So now you can see we've got a little checklist going on here. So it's tracking what's going on. It's creating the pig roster data and pen definitions. And then going to integrate the save system from Run Game Helpers and the stats system with the stats pop-up. Hopefully it's going to do that from Run Game Helpers. It should recognize that that's there, and then building the pastures and everything, and then it will check it. When it gets to the spot where it checks it, we will start testing it ourselves. And we can actually start testing some of this as it goes. Sometimes this will work, sometimes it won't. I still need to also fix the fact that our pigs are in fact backwards, but that's fine. It's kind of funny. It just probably thinks they're running the other way. Hey, I can do a lot of things, and there's still something where it's like, what direction is the pig facing? And you can ask it, and you probably have a 50-50 chance of it getting it right, because it's going to guess. I find that the newest models are getting better at that, but it's still, there's some stuff that's very easy for a human that's still a little bit difficult for AI sometimes. So while this is going, let's just have a look and see a little bit of what's going on in here in case you're curious. So it's all got all of this set up. You've got your game. There's a little demo scene. I think that can be removed after. There's our game canvas and our Pixie app. There's some helpers in here for like saves and stats. These are what came from the Run Game helpers here. So these will be largely just copied in wholesale, and then they'll be changed with whatever needs to be for the specific game, which is cool. So you know that you're basically getting something that works. There's the Run SDK, which it pulled in because it knows that from the initial starting point. So notice I didn't really need to say like bring in the Run SDK. It just knows that because it's part of the initial setup that I've got there. The state that's storing things, your styles. So this is one thing to note too. You'll have a CSS here. This is where all the colors and everything else for your UI and React will be stored. This can grow a lot. And one of the things I should add here to this template system is breaking this up into logical pieces. So I had this in one project, I think it was Terminal Defense. It was like 20,000 lines of code, and it gets very expensive for AI to look through it. And so instead I had it break it down into like, oh, here's the buildings, here's the zombies, here's this screen, here's this screen, here's this screen. And each one was like a couple kilobytes, right? And 50 to 100 lines or something. Very fast for AI to look through all of that, especially once it has an index of what's where. So that is definitely recommended. So I will add that to this too, so that that works. And then we've got our UI, which is having our loading screen, main menu. It's got instructions on how to break this all down logically, so it's not just one giant mess, which is pretty important. So it says we have a save system, and we have some pig roster data and pens. It's working on a pasture scene, and then probably stats. And then we will see what we get there. Our temp images will still be here. I didn't tell it. I probably could to just delete it. I do find this useful when you're starting a project to just be like, here's some of the starter things that I need, and based on what game I'm looking for. So I often do this, and then I will just tell it to delete it. When I'm working with AI on these games, I'll actually leave this temp images folder usually, and say, for example, we were adding the goats I mentioned before. I might dump 20 goats in here as whatever file names, and I'll just be like, hey, I added 20 goat images to temp images. Can you copy them to the right place, rename them to something logical, give them names, and do whatever else we want them to do, and then delete them after. And it will happily do that. And it's maybe not you want to do all the things with AI like that, but the point is you can if you want. And if that's something that's like tedious for you, which I think it is, because it certainly is for me, it can help with that, which is actually really nice. So let's see what we've got here. We're going to take a look. It's probably running in another browser. Look, our pigs are in pens. Let's see, are they bounded by these? Can I pick one up? Well, look at that. I can. It's swinging. It doesn't have any like physics because I didn't ask for it. So I'm going to fix that. You're going to get errors like this. Don't be alarmed. It is in the middle of writing code and I'm testing stuff. I'm being one of those people and probably making AI angry, but it looks like we can take them between pens. If you drop them out of a pen, it looks like they go back to the pen they were from, which is exactly what we wanted, and we didn't even have to describe that. So we can swap them between pens, and these little guys are moving around with some little tweens, which is cool. Looks like they've got proper Y sorting or Z sorting, Y sorting, probably Y sorting. We're just in 2D, which is cool. And then it looks like they're always on top when I'm dragging one, which is nice and exactly what you'd want to see. So we've got the beginnings of this minus our backwards pigs, which it's kind of endearing. Maybe we just leave it. They're kind of fun being backwards. So now it's going to do some verification. Again, we could skip this because I see that it already works, but it is going to test the save system and stuff. So let's see. I'm going to click some pigs. Look at that, getting coins. Cool. I've got 14 coins. We are going to refresh. Before this would have removed any saving. I have 9. I don't know when it's saving. So we're going to take a check. It might only be saving every so often. That should not be the case. It should be saving when you do a refresh because it's like leaving the page. It's probably on a timer. Yeah. So in any case, it is saving. So it's doing what we asked there. I don't know if we have stats. Do we have stats? Well, look at that. We do have stats. So we have coins earned. We've got pigs clicked, pigs moved, pigs fumbled. I guess that's when I dropped them outside the pen. So that's fun. So it did what I suggested and added some stats that make sense. We've also got game time here. Doesn't look like game time updates when the pop-ups open, but that's okay. Some games want that, some don't. And then we've got sessions played. So we've got a stat system that's in there, which is pretty cool. So while this is finishing this, let's just type up the next thing. So let's see, based on the stuff we have, we could do, let's see, maybe we want some daily rewards. Our daily rewards. So let's add a second currency, a premium currency. So premium currency would be something that you can earn in the game sometimes, but probably in a limited amount, and then is usually also available for purchase in an in-app purchase shop. And so we've got these nice green gems. So let's use that. A premium currency gems. We use the gems.png provided. Show it to the right of coins on the HUD, the heads-up display. So that's cool. Also then add the daily rewards from Run Game Helpers. For now, make all 7 days some gems. Let's see, with bonus gems on day 3 and 7. Okay, so let's see, what did it say here? It's got a stat system, it's got a save system. It's doing all of these. Adding future stats is just one registry line. So this is part of what was in there. And then old saves will backfill that. So I'd mentioned about save file update scripts. Not needed for the stat stuff when you just add a stat, and that's by design because that's considered like a very minor change. And so I leave it out of that on purpose, which I think is good. So we've got that. We've got the core gameplay that's there. You know what, as fun as the backwards pigs are, I think let's fix that. By the way, pigs are moving in reverse always. Please fix that. Also add, let's just for fun, add physics when dragging a pig so that faster drags swing them more back and forth, etc. What else are we looking for? That's pretty good for the daily rewards. It'll probably just add a button for that. So let's see, and let's just in case, yeah, we said from Run Game Helpers. Let's see. So we're going to add that. Next things after that might be something like tutorial. We don't need to go through all of them here. I just wanted to show sort of how these work and that you can get all of this without really doing much more than just describing what you're looking for. and you know that it will work because all this stuff's been tested against the newest version of the Run SDK, and we would of course keep this up to date. But after this one, like there's maybe the daily quests, those could be fun, although there's not enough gameplay here maybe to warrant it. We could try the tutorial stuff, or we could add in some ads, maybe an in-app purchase and or a subscription. If you have ads in your game, you could do a subscription for like $1 or $2 a week or whatever you want and offer no ads as part of that. Probably not a bad idea. We may want analytics so we can track what people are doing, notifications, things like that. Notifications a little trickier to show here, obviously, because we're not running on device, but those are in here. So let's see. Hopefully this one doesn't take too long to add. This is a pretty quick. This should be a pretty quick one to implement. What else do we have in the meantime? Let's see. I dragged it was testing everything, so this is showing how it's testing the core gameplay that we've got. There is tags, it says, for the Swinergy system. I don't know how to pronounce that. Swinergy? It's supposed to be like Synergy. Swinergy. Don't know. So that system looks like it's starting to be set up, which is cool. I don't know, did we get a pigs menu? I don't think we did. If we did, I don't see it. Let's see, menu. No, that just goes back to here. Let's get some more coins. Does it save our coins when we go back? It does, so that's good. And then by default, it's done either like you can click the X or you can click outside the pop-up. That's also part of the starter UI stuff because there's some UI helpers that were part of this as well. Just basic stuff that you generally want, and you can override that if you want. What else do we have here? What's it adding now? We've got some gems, so it's adding our other currency. It's adding our daily rewards to the save file. It'll probably do a save file version 2. That's a little overzealous right now because we haven't really launched anything, but it avoids you having to like try to clear your save file and do stuff like that. So that just makes it a little bit easier. Let's see, what else do we got here? Clear currencies, so that's figuring that out, whether you've opened the daily rewards. I do want to see we've got some gems up here, so that's cool. So the only way to earn those right now will be from daily rewards. And that's okay. Let's see. We could probably also, we don't have much text in this game other than stats, so we probably could add the localization stuff, and that would go in very quickly too. But let's see. I can always fast forward parts of this recording after too, just to shorten it up for everybody. Let's see. So it's going to, without you having to have said anything on the daily rewards, it's going to have a countdown. It's going to do what I tend to prefer for these because it's more forgiving, and that is that if somebody does not come back for a day, so they miss a day basically. A lot of games, early mobile games, used to be very punishing with that. So it's like, oh, you missed a day, start over. You're starting back at day 1. I let people miss as many days as they want. So if they go away for like 10 days, they come back and they had claimed day 1 before, day 2 would be available to claim, and that's fine. All of this also is doing a server time check so that people can't just fast forward their clock on their device. So you get that largely for free with Run because there's just a server time that it can check. It's adding some of our pig swinging stuff. Let's see. Nope, not in there yet. It's working on it right now. I think that's going to be fun. I like when you can pick up a pig and it'll just like swing back and forth based on when you're moving it around, which I think is a lot of fun. So little things like you might want to offset that when you are on device, because of course when you're tapping you can't see what's under your finger, so sometimes you want to like move the pig down a little bit further than your finger so you can see it dangling better, things like that. So always stuff very, very important. Always test this stuff on device. I recommend that quite a lot. Run makes that pretty easy because if you do a private deploy, you can actually test it on Run and nobody else can see it. So it'll actually be on production, but you as the developer or anybody you share the link with directly are the only people that can play it. And that's actually really helpful because Run lets you maintain a private and a public build at the same time. And so you can get to that through your Run profile. And I'll attempt to show that off here. Once this is here, we can try to push this to Run as well, just to show like the full, give this a try. I don't think it needs to pass review, ? If it's just the private one, but I could be wrong. So we will find out in a few moments here. So let's see, what do we got? We got a bunch of pigs. Let's refresh and see if we picked up on our physics. Oh, we got some daily rewards. They put it on the main menu. So here we go. A nice little daily reward system. I would have put this in the game itself and not on the title screen, but that's fine. I didn't ask for that specifically. I did a little weirdness where day 3 is really wide because I asked for more. So we can work on that and figure that out. I'll fix that in the templated stuff so that it doesn't happen. And it says tap the glowing day to claim. So we're going to claim that. And then next day would be in 8 hours and 38 minutes, which makes sense because it's 3:21 p.m. where I am and some seconds. So this is always midnight at the user's time rather than UTC or anything. And one thing I like to do with the notifications, and there is stuff in there too for the helpers for that, is I don't tend to like to notify people at midnight their time. So a lot of times it makes sense for the daily reward thing to like notify them, maybe call it 10 hours after it's there, because it'll be about 10 a.m. for most people their time, which is generally a little bit safer and a little better. A lot of people don't take kindly to being pinged by game at midnight every day. So little things like that to keep in mind. So let's see, do we have, well, that's fun. So now if we drag pigs around slow, they're kind of just going slowly. If we drag them around quickly, they're flinging all over the place. Hopefully this is a high enough frame rate that you can see that, but it's a lot of fun. I think it could use some tweaking. Those are one of the things. I'm not going to do it here, but those are one of the things that does that. And if you look, our pigs are walking the correct direction, which is cool. So that's working. I think it's just finishing off. What's it finishing off here? What is this doing? About spending gems. We can't spend gems right now. That's fine. But that's okay. So we have a little game where we can drag pigs around. We can put them in the pens. The plan, yeah, had been to have some synergies so that like maybe this pig and this pig, like they have a similar stat or something associated with them. And so you start getting a bonus, like a passive bonus. Want to have each pen earning different currencies probably. And that can be increased based on which pigs are in the pen as well, and the number of pigs. And then there could be multipliers. You could have additional farms. So you could page over to another farm. You could send pigs to different farms, all that kind of stuff. Let's see, what do we got? So it said gems were added, daily rewards were added with the server time. Everything's being tracked. We did get our reward. You see our 5 gems that are up there. And what else do we have? I think day 1, gems went to 5. Day 1 tile flipped over to a check mark. So it did test all that. We tested it as well. Again, you could speed this up by telling it, I'm going to test this. The reverse walking was fixed. So the pig art faces right, but the code assumed left. So it just didn't check. So it's flipped that. So the pigs are correct. It's got some drag fixes, drag physics. What did it say? Claiming while the pop-up was open left the menu badge stale until close. Fixed by re-rendering the menu. So it already caught one bug and fixed it itself, which is one of the nice things by letting it do that. Up next says maybe the Swinergy. I'm always going to fail at that. The tags are already there. Let's see. We do want add a button called pigs to the left of stats. Add a button that opens the pig roster pop-up with details, names, tags, etc. for each pig. We need a way to get new pigs, I realized too. This just gave us some. So we can also, maybe we just have add a button in the center. Or let's just see. Add a button above at the top center of the screen to spend, let's see, 10 coins to spawn a new random pig in a random pen. So that's cool. Let's just tell it to do that. That should be a very quick change for it. And then after that one's done, yeah, let's try, what else was on our list here? Tutorial might be okay. That takes a little bit more nuance though, and we want to maybe get more into the gameplay. Before we would do that, let's see. We could try adding in rewarded ads, something like watch an ad, get 10 currency. That's pretty easy. And then we could add in some analytics, and then we could just stick this on run. And that's kind of full start to finish of a little playable game, but with a lot of backbone pieces already built that are production ready, where you could turn this into a proper full game and not run into a lot of the issues I think that people have had. We've had some issues, like even with our first party stuff that we work on, and that's where this came from, right? Is trying to make this just easier so that things are simpler to use. And again, this would be transparent to people in the same way that you can reference the run documentation now. You would do the same thing, but it would be backed by looking at this repository. So that would just be silent to people. But if you were like, hey, I want to add ads, I want to implement the rewarded ads, it would actually go and look at the wrapper stuff that I've had here, and it would just work. You wouldn't have to worry about it. So similar to the same way that we've done that now. Let's see, what's it doing? It's adding pigs adopted. Okay, so it added more stats. So this is the cool thing with some of this stuff, kind of an aside from that. It was like, let's add this stat for like pigs adopted because you have a way to unlock more pigs. It's like I didn't have to explicitly ask for that. Sometimes that can be frustrating, but a lot of times it's actually pretty good guesses. And the more you work on a particular game, as long as you just like do compact and keep some memory alive and things, you'll find that it starts to pick up more about those things that you want. If you were to complain about that and be like, please don't add new stats that I didn't ask for, it wouldn't do it next time. But it can actually shortcut a lot of what you're working on, I find, because it'll just do stuff for you. So this is adding a lot of the code for getting new pigs, I believe. And then it looks like it has something that says all pigs adopted. So it's assuming that you can unlock all of the pigs that are currently in the game, I guess, and then no more for now. It's probably not what I would really do for the gameplay. I think what I was kind of leaning towards, hey, look at that. It's a nice pink button too. So let's adopt a new pig. Does it work? It's still working on it. I think it's broken. We did lose our coins, so that's cool. Let's see. It's still working on it. We got ourselves some coins, so we're ready to go when it is ready. Sorry for the clicking noises. There we go. We give ourselves 35 coins. Let's make sure that, because yeah, it'd be good for these little guys to have a friend. These two can, but now there's an empty pen. That just feels wrong. So let's wait and we'll get them a friend. Earn coins by tapping, adopt a pig, and check the roster pop up. Strange that it thinks I need to do earn coins by tapping again, but that's okay. That was already there. You can see how a lot of this will come together pretty quickly. At the end of this, I think this will be less than an hour. And again, I would recommend just fast forwarding this, or I can chop pieces out. But in less than an hour, we will have a game that stood up and actually on run with ads. And we could pretty quickly also add in-app purchases or a subscription or whatever we wanted to. And that's pretty awesome, I think. So shell here just so that we can run some of these commands. You don't need to do this yourself. You can just ask. But while this is running, we can talk about some of that stuff too. Let's see. Where was this game? Let's see. Piggy Idol. There we go. So we'll open a new one. Make that bigger. While that's running. Yeah, if you've been doing this a while too, you can do more than one thing at a time. So you can either use like work trees or whatever, or if you're working on something that's a completely different system, you could be a little wild and just do it on the same one completely, or you could use a branch or whatever you want, but you could have multiple agents doing things at the same time, and that's often what I'll end up doing. I'll have like 5 agents working on things. So one is adding a localization system, one's adding all this stuff that this is adding, another one's doing something else in the game, and then I'm off doing something else like generating more art while those are all going. You can put something together pretty quick. This is also I'm using Fable for this, which is of course the frontier model right now from the Claude folks. So Anthropic, yeah, there we go. So that's why this is taking a little longer too. It's a little bit slow, but it is also very capable, which is why it's nice to be able to do more than one thing at a time. You don't just have to sit and wait for it. And I'm going to ask it as well what to do. So here's one thing we can do. So we can open another session. We could say, this is a run game. How do we deploy the game privately to run? So you can either tell it to do this or you can do it yourself because there's just a couple of commands. I like to do a lot of this stuff myself. Let's see. We're just going to set auto mode. And yeah, it's saying that this process is all documented in the run game helpers repo, which it is. Again, this is probably part of the current run documentation. I just made it a little more robust, I think, from what's in there. So we'll roll all that back into there. So let's see. What's this other one doing here? What do we have? We have a pigs menu. Hey, look at this. These are way too small to read, but we have Rosie, Northwest Penn, Southeast Penn. Okay, so it's telling us not adopted yet. We've got Sunny, Goldie. So this is what I was talking about. It just generated names. Minty, Scout, Bamboo, Clover. So like these are fun. Like Dark, Punk, Lucky, Hat. Okay, so different tags that we could use for synergies and stuff, which is fun. Let's see if we can adopt a pig yet. Looks like we still cannot adopt a pig. We're just burning our coins like crazy here. Let's see. Yeah. In an attempt to wrap this up without taking forever, just because we're waiting for a lot of this stuff, we will put this onto run and I'll just show how that works. But yeah, all the other things we could add in, it would take the same amount of time you could see just to add an in-app purchase shop, some daily quests if we wanted, tutorials, ads, notifications. Another thing you could do too is just be like, at this point in this game, like I want all of these, and largely just let it go. So you'd be like, I want the following 4 systems or whatever. And you can always tell it to like ask any questions you have for me up front, rather than wanting to be pinged about it constantly as it's going. I tend to do that. It just makes it easier. So let's see. So it just says, yeah, we've got all our commands that are here. So one-time setup, we need to register the game. So we need to run.login, run.init. That registers the game and gives you a real game ID. We currently have the game placeholder, so this must happen before you deploy. So we need to do run.login and run.init. What does this say? This said it did the thing. Can we adopt a pig? Doesn't look like our pigs are adoptable. Adopt pig. No new pig shows up. So let's find out. So in the meantime, we will run.init. We will run.login and run.init. And then we can npm run build and run.deploy. So let's just start up another one. Where's this going to put us? Oh, right folder. That's fine. We can go directly to there. The scene reconciles sprites against the save every tick. Okay, we're going to put that back into the template because that is an issue. That causes problems that you can see, obviously. So, oh, that looks like it must be working. So let's see. This is a lot of pigs. We got a new pig. He even had a little animation when he came in. So that's cool. So we can move them, balance them out. We'll probably have something where you want to have like certain pigs in certain pens and whatever. We could have nighttime things. We could have like a day-night cycle where at nighttime there's rules for different pigs and stuff like that. So that's really cool. So that's working. See, this one says it doesn't have a real run game ID yet. Okay. Needs a real game ID before that, so it hasn't been registered. That's still pending from the starter scaffold. Okay, and if we look in our temp images, we had called our game Piggy Pastures. So how did we spell that? Piggy Pastures. Yeah, so let's just do that. So let's do run.init. Yes, Piggy Pastures. Game description. A cute idle game about pig synergies. Path to the game build folder. That should always be just what it is. Distribution. Yes. Oops, hit that. It is in fact portrait. All right, it now has a game ID. So now we can do npm run build. So this will do a build for us. We'll update some things. It might complain some chunks are larger than 500 kilobytes. This is for the JavaScript code of this. Generally, you don't have to worry about this, but if this was huge, you might want to, but I think we're fine right now, and it gzips down to something really small. It's fine. This whole game is going to be pretty tiny. You can check your distribution folder here, and you can just right-click and see how big the whole game is. This game is 2 megabytes, 2.05 on the 2.15 on run.deploy, and that will do it privately, which is what we want right now. So we can actually just run.deploy. It's telling us as a live production environment because it is. It's a helpful little warning to have there, but basically it's there. You could share this QR code or this URL with somebody. It's telling me it's version 1.0.0. I might set that down to something else, but like 0.0.1, but that's fine. So if we open a new tab, we should be able to go to run. We'll be logged in anonymously, I think, in this tab, probably, question mark. This is actually running on run. So we have, in probably less than an hour, I want to say, gotten a game with the starter kit and everything, with a little bit of gameplay, some daily rewards and things. This will all be reset now because this is your save file on run. So this will actually track your persistent stuff on here, but this is actually running on run. If you were logged in as your own account, what you could do, which is cool, is go here and go to profile, and it would actually show you games that you've developed, which this one would count as, and you would have access to the public or the private version. So even if your game is released in public, you could be working on a bunch of features and testing it actually on device in run for real as the private build, and then when you're ready, you can just change it to public deploy, which is super, super helpful. And being able to share that with people is great, just with these QR codes or whatever else you want. So if you've made changes again, all you would do is you would then do another npm run build. That'll rebuild things, and then you just do run.deploy, and that will update it. So everything here should work. So we have our pigs. Let's test adopting our pig. We have adopted a pig, which is super cool. Let's get another pig because we like pigs. It's the whole point of our game. We got a little bandit pig or ninja. I don't know which it is. He's cool. And we can see that they're highlighting in here, and we could go on from there and add all the other things. So while we're here, let's just try. Let's say add in the rewarded ads from the run game helpers and add a button above adopt pig to watch and add and earn 5 gems. Add a confirmation dialog that confirms whether you want to watch the ad or playing the ad. So this is how easy it would be to add something like this. The ad rewards ladder is cool. It's what I described earlier. You could do some permanent ad rewards, and it'll just work very quickly in here. We won't do this now, just in the effort to save time. I can also add in a run bits purchase in the IAP shop or a subscription. I wouldn't release that to public yet because obviously we don't have enough gameplay for me to be quite happy with that, but I think this game looks very cute and is already a good start towards something. So I think this is the kind of game with another, an afternoon of work on this. Could have something where I would be happy having that out on run with subscriptions and things like that. So you can see how quickly this can come together. I think it's pretty neat. So while we're doing that, we could, this is what I was talking about before, you could do something else in another one because it won't really, it's probably separate enough. Also a little weird to offer a subscription that has like no ads or something when the only thing we have right now is a button to watch this, but we would probably put in ads that are like, get some kind of bonus or something, or like more coins for an hour if you watch an ad, things like that. There's lots of stuff you can do with that. What's the other one? Oh, we could add, let's see, we could add analytics. It's hard to see what those do here, but you can add lots of analytics and get different events and stuff like that, which are super helpful. And I'm trying to think what else. It's probably enough. The rest of the stuff's easy enough to use, the same as these. I just wanted to show how all of this works. So let's let this one finish, and then we can kind of show how that works on there. Again, this is our local one, and then this is running on run, which should be pretty much the same. You can test that on your device. This also should be, I did set it up that way so that it, by default, will try to handle like a design resolution. So what that means is that if someone were to take this window and drag it smaller, the pig pens will take up the whole width. and then it will just adjust everything else. Of course, this will break down at some point, and there's no one right solution for all games, but it was a bit of a helper there, because without that, you're just kind of stuck on your own. You might end up designing it like this, and then somebody plays it on a tall device like this, and suddenly the whole game breaks, right? And things don't work properly. And so this is just a good attempt at trying to make that work. You can see there's a little bit of quirkiness with the way the pigs are working here. I think they're getting stuck. So there's a little bit of work that I could do here for my particular game, because there's like the logic for them moving around, but you can kind of see how that would work. So it's just to try and help with some of that stuff. Let's see, probably almost done with the ads now. And what else do we have? I think we'll call it after that. I'll give this one more minute to be done. So this will use all of the stuff that's in Run for ads. There's rewarded ads, and there is a test version of them, which is nice. So it'll just, you'll see right away, it'll pop up with like a little blue screen and say this is where an ad would go, which is very helpful. And then there's also some checks that are in there for if the platform you're on even supports ads, because some won't, right? So mobile web tends to have them. So if you're running in like Safari directly or something, if you're running on the iOS or Android app of Run, of course, there will be ads in there, because there will be full mobile ads in there. But if you can imagine, there might be another platform where there isn't ads. This already has the support for that too. So it actually just like will either attempt to give you another alternate version of it, or you can just choose to say hide the button. So anywhere there's ads, you can just be like, I'm going to hide that, because it's going to be a case-by-case basis, what makes sense for each game. But the easiest one is just to say, oh, there's no ads supported on this platform, so just hide this. It does have all the flags and things for that are here with some helpers. Okay, let's see. Free gems button above adopt pig. So that's our run one. Here's our local one. Let's go here. So we have 5 gems. It should pop up, watch an ad, watch a short ad to earn 5 gems. No thanks. It's like, yeah, I will. Pops up. Here's the stuff from Run. And let's see, normally ads would have a timer. This is all the things that are in Run. So we can close the ad and we got our gems. There's no limit on this, so please don't release something like this. You're going to want something here, but usually you'd have a cooldown like 4 hours or something like that. What I do have built in as part of the Run game helpers is a configurable limit per day. I have it set to 15. So you can watch up to 15 ads in one day before it caps you at that. There's reasons for that, just because like one, you don't want users to, and this is probably the main one, users get a little frustrated if they have too many ad opportunities in a game. Some users will keep watching ads, but it's not a great experience, right? If somebody's in your game for 10 minutes, you don't want 8 minutes of that to be watching ads. You'd rather have them actually playing the game and getting something good for their rewarded ad watches. So in the meantime, though, we can get some of these, and then we'll just show here's why this is really cool on Run. So we'll do a new build. Takes a couple seconds. We will deploy. We'll get a note that it says it should be version 1.0.1 or 1.1.0, sorry. And then we go over here, we refresh. Again, we're in the private version. We go in, and there's our button for getting free gems. And we can watch this on Run. And right now, this might be, yeah, okay. So this is going to try to use the mobile web one. So here's it's got a separate thing. It might actually load a real ad. Nope, no ad, maybe. But anyway, this is the real mobile web experience, just to kind of show exactly what I was talking about. So that's not using mobile ads. It's using mobile web ads, which are different. So that's cool. But yeah, that is, I think, how all of this works. I just wanted to show that, it's very easy to use this. And we can add more stuff to this too, I think. But I just wanted to have some kind of wrapper that's there so that you don't have to make a lot of decisions. Because when I set all this up with another game called Terminal Defense, which is on Run, you can check it out. Terminal Defense, for this, I had to make a lot of these decisions. When I was doing a save system, I had to tell it, like, here's how I want the saves to work. Here's when I want them to persist to the cloud. Here's how I want that to be handled and everything. And you'll notice you don't have to do any of that here, but it is working. It's all set up. It'll be persisting things to the cloud. I think probably it's every 30 seconds by default it's set to. Or you could set it to just always when there's changes. That's a little heavy-handed, but you could do that, or you could be every 5 seconds, whatever you want. Everything is in a single save key right now, because we can support up to 1 megabyte, I want to say it is, per key. Whereas if you don't specify all of that, you might get like your coins are in one key and your gems are in one key, and it becomes tricky to sync that all up. Instead, this is just one chunk of JSON that's right into one single save key, which I find very convenient. So just a lot of things like that. Like there's probably 100 decisions that could have gone into all of the stuff that I just showed in the last hour. And you didn't really have to do any of them. It all just defaulted for you. The only thing you had to do is start describing your game and what you wanted, which I think is really powerful and pretty cool. So I'm going to leave it at that. Sorry if this ran long. Hopefully folks were able to watch it at 2x or something else, but I hope this was useful, and maybe I will record a shorter one sometime so that we can do this and just fast forward all the AI waiting parts. But that's what I got. This is the Run Game Helpers, name pending. Thanks.